What do you do if you have a gala coming up, but you don't know any donors who are wealthy or who have resources that you can invite? Hey, I'm Danny Rosa. As a benefit auctioneer and gala fundraising consultant, I help nonprofit leaders raise money at their annual galas. This is a question that comes up over and over again. Danny, what if we don't know anybody with money to invite to the gala? So we're going to tackle that in today's video. To begin with, let's start off by talking about the story, The Giving Tree, from growing up. So there's a tree and there's a little boy, and the tree loves the little boy. And every time the little boy visits and swings from the branches and relaxes in the shade and eats the apples, the tree is so happy. The boy grows up and continues to come back to the tree. And as it grows up, it takes more and more from the tree until it is just a stump. And the boy is an old man who sits on the stump and rests on the stump. And the tree is happy though, because the old man, the little boy, is there. But in reality, the tree has given everything. Now, where does this cringy story of the giving tree relate with finding wealthy donors? I have found that when my clients are wrestling with this idea or trying to think about who they can invite to their gala, they freeze up and lock up a little bit, because in their mind, the people that immediately come to mind for them are their current giving trees. These are already the donors that buy a table at every single event, or the volunteers who are there for absolutely everything the organization needs, knows everything about the organization, and still gives as much money as they possibly can at the gala. Or this is the sponsor that increases their sponsorship year over year, no matter what, or the board member that never says no. These are the current giving trees that we see and that we recognize. So they're the first people that come to mind when we're trying to find, more donors with resources. When we're trying to find resources in general, these are the people that come to mind. So the idea here in today's video is we're going to explore, how do you find more giving trees that want to be part of your organization? And we're going to go through a little bit of a 3-step process where at the end you should have a list of these people. To begin, step 1 is about identifying your target donor. A target donor is this idea that if you had 25, 35, or 45 of these individuals in your audience during your gala, you would make a meaningful amount of money. They could make a large impact financially, but they're also the type of people that love your mission, care about your mission, and really want to take ownership of your mission and be on this journey with you. So a target donor, we're going to look at this diagram here about a target donor so you can understand how it's the center and basically the first domino in a row of dominoes to fall. It's the center, it's the first domino. It's the most important piece of understanding as we go to build our gala. So if we look at a target donor, they help inform us of multiple things. Some things more deep and some things a little bit easier to comprehend. So first off, theme, ticket price, food, decor. Once we understand our target donor, we know what night of the week would be great for a gala. We know if this should be a sit-down plated meal or maybe something with heavy apps and some good entertainment. We know if our theme should be really goofy, like 80s theme, or if it should be something a little bit more simple and classy because our target donor is coming straight from work. So it helps us make decisions like that about the event. But then on the other hand, it also helps us understand some of the deeper roots that come into play when we are marketing or building a gala. So that's the fears and payoffs of our donor. So as an example, a fear could be that, I've grown up with so much privilege, with so much opportunity. I'm terrified at the idea that I'm not giving back. So that's a fear. And a potential payoff, which they could earn at your gala, is that, some of my hard-earned funds or, some of this money I've inherited or whatever, you name it, I have made a huge donation to X, Y, and Z organization. Now I feel really good that I have done something with, place in life, with my stage in life. I've done something meaningful and important. So that's a potential payoff. Then when it comes to marketing or even messaging at the event during the program, understanding the targeted messaging, the relevant stats and facts, and the terminology that they're going to understand are really key. So all of these things come from a target donor. Now, this is the number one most important step to do, because as soon as we understand our target donor, we can start to build a plan and a strategy for how to find more of these target donors. Before I move on to step 2, a common concern that I get is if we focus so much on a target individual, Won't that be excluding some of these other, donors that we love and we appreciate and have come year after year, or people that support our organization mission that don't necessarily fit that target? And yes, very understandable. I know that is a common fear, but the reality is that focusing on your target donor does not exclude anybody else from being part of your event. So let me give you a quick example. In my business and what I do, I have a target client. I have somebody that I seek to serve and support. This is the person I think I can support the best. And I have boiled them down to one sentence, and here it is. The spread thin and overwhelmed nonprofit leader facing the daunting task of planning a gala. So maybe you heard yourself in that description, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you're getting a little chuckle right now because you're like, wow, she nailed it. Or maybe that's not you, because the reality is I do support a lot of spread thin and overwhelmed nonprofit leaders. But I also work with a lot of parents planning school galas. Some of them that stay at home, they don't work full time, their kids are at school full time, so they have plenty of time to work on it during the day. I also work with some nonprofit leaders and some teams that have marketing departments and development departments, so they're not technically spread thin. But the majority of the work that I do are with the spread thin and overwhelmed nonprofit leaders facing the daunting task of planning a gala. So it helps me understand what types of videos to make for you, what types of workbooks might be helpful, how to treat my clients within a couple weeks of their event, knowing that their state of mind and everything they have going on. So the reality is that having a target supports your efforts and your strategies, but it does not exclude anybody else from being part of what you do. After we've identified our target donor, step 2 is to understand the idea of a mental rolodex. Now, let's say, for example, that you and I are going out to coffee and we haven't seen each other for a little while. And we sit down for coffee and you tell me about how you're planning a gala and how you're looking for new donors and you're looking for new sponsors and all these things. And you ask me just outright, hey, Danny, do you know anybody who would come to our gala with money who would raise their paddle? Now, it's not like that's a bad question, but that question is not helping my brain access its mental Rolodex for how it files people. So there's nowhere in my brain, I mean, there might be somewhere in my brain and there might be somewhere in someone's brain, but in general, just go with me on this. People don't necessarily have a spot in their brain where they file wealthy friends who will be donors at other friends' galas. It's not really a place that we log people, we file people in our brain. So the idea for this step here is, how do we reverse engineer from our target donor the right types of questions that are going to help access other people's mental Rolodex and the people that might be within them to help give us introductions to bring more people to our event. So as an example, let's say that our target donor is a white collar professional in the legal profession in, their 50s and 60s. They have kids. They might have a couple middle schoolers, but they mostly have high schoolers, some college kids. In their free time, they like to go mountain biking. They went to college, actually, here in our state. They went to a great law school here in our state. They also are really active with, certain networking groups that these legal professionals go to, so on and so forth. So that's the target we're looking at. Now, how to build a mental Rolodex for that type of person would be, the idea that let's think of where these people are and where to find them. So we're out to coffee. Let's try this again. Hey, Danny, in your mountain biking group, let's assume I go mountain biking. In your mountain biking group, do you know any lawyers? Do you know any paralegals? Do you know any, lawyers that own firms? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, Danny, I know you also went to school, here in Colorado. I know you also went to DU. Did you happen to know anybody at the law school there? Are you still friends with anybody there? Do you have access to, that network at all? Is there a way that, you could find a list of maybe some lawyers that are still active in the alumni network there? So on and so forth. Asking these questions, I know this isn't like the greatest example, but I hope you're getting the point that asking questions in a way that people file them in their brain is how we're going to find more of these target donors. So, who in your yoga class? What are their parents at your kid's school? So you want to look at your target donor, and after you go through the exercise for it, which this is an exercise I give to my clients, is where you isolate, I guess I skipped this part in the target donor, but it's where you really go into the demographics and the psychographics of the target donor. You want to know everything from their profession to, how they feel politically, their religious views, the amount of money they make, what their family life looks like. You want to go to the demographics there, and then there's psychographics. There's a ton of questions that try to understand, like, what keeps you up at night, what's the greatest impact you want to make on your community, what causes matter the most to you. So once you have those questions and you come back to the mental Rolodex thing, you want to reverse engineer it so that you can figure out where these people are, so that when you're having conversations with sponsors, vendors, friends, you name it, you know which questions to ask them to hopefully prompt their brain to open up and find people for you. After we're really clear on our target donor, and we have made a list of about 10 questions of ways we can jog somebody's mental Rolodex to help them find that person, the third step is to create a great list of these people. This is done via like a memory jog exercise. So I have a whole list of questions that I give to my clients to help prompt them to think of their connections, think of people that they know. You also can, put this into ChatGPT, have it make a great list for you if you, want to do it that way as well. But the idea is that you are going to go through the lens of who your target donor is, and you are going to write down as many people who seem at least close to that target donor. The other really great place to look, and check for some of these connections too is your camera roll. You want to go through your camera roll and see who you've been spending time with, who you've been taking pictures with. Figure out who in this camera roll, like, your brain will get jogged, and you will figure out and find more people from this camera roll. You also want to look at your social media feeds. Go back for a little while, who's posting a lot. Maybe just look at some of your LinkedIn connections. But the idea is that through the lens of who is my target donor, you are making a list of as many people as possible that, through your memory jog list, that could be potential donors that you can invite to your event. This is something that's really great to engage your board members with as well, this entire exercise, so that together you can create a list of potentially hundreds of people that you can invite. To recap, one of the most difficult parts of this is getting past your own giving trees to find more giving trees. The reality is, though, there are tons and tons and tons of human beings out there that want to serve and support what you do. And amongst many of those human beings, they do have the monetary resources to make a big impact at your gala. So step one, you need to identify that target donor. Step two, you need to get clear about the mental Rolodex and how you are going to access other people's mental Rolodex. And step three is to make a big, long list of potential people that you can invite to your gala. Now, before I sign off, I just want to remind you that people need what you do. Remember the payoffs from earlier. There are human beings out there that frankly need to give you their money so that they can sleep better at night. So I don't want you to get discouraged thinking that there aren't people out there that can donate money to your organization, because there are literally people out there that have more money than they have time, and they want to be part of what you're doing. So I just want to encourage you to go out there, to be bold, and, to be really confident in the fact that you are inviting people into something very, very important that can change their life. If this video has been helpful, subscribe to our newsletter below, and we will send you more videos like it. And as always, we hope this is your most profitable gala yet.